just coming at you with some Ultimus 6.5 playthrough. So we did just finish our second U6.4 yesterday, and we were able to get to 80%. So we are trying our hand today at Ultimus 6.5, which is the highest difficulty in the Ultimus 6 range. Now, a couple things to be thinking about. Obviously these nodes are going to be harder. You might not notice as much of a difference with some of the early on nodes, but I mean, you definitely feel like you will notice a little bit of a difference with the boss nodes. But something to really also to start thinking about is now that we are at the Ultima 6.5 stage, this is kind of the last stage of this, raid. So we are getting ever so closer to starting Ultima 7. And as I've said in previous videos, Ultima 7 is kind of in a whole different, playing field than Ultima 6. And you really are going to want to start thinking about, making one of those specialized teams. There's a ton of them out there online. You can certainly, they're all over YouTube, all over Reddit, but a lot of those teams, from my own personal experience, are going to be either very legendary dependent or a lot more kind of like end game content dependent. And what I mean by that is a lot of the Ultima 7 teams, will either feature characters like Black Bolt, Ebony Maw. Another popular one on a lot of the earlier Ultima 7 teams is going to be Ultron, which, I mean, unless you've, finished Dark Dimension 2, you don't have access to him. So I honestly think that, probably within the next month or so, we will probably be getting close to, possibly starting Ultima 7. We've made a ton of progress in the last 2 months. We started 2 months ago at Ultimus 4, and here we are at Ultimus 6.5. So everyone should be really proud on the progress and the progression we've made in such a short time. And we would hopefully like to keep that momentum going and get ourselves into Ultimus 7. So, kind of along those lines, my suggestion, just because it seems to be the easiest and most accessible team to be working on, is if you haven't started working on your symbiotes, now's the time I think to maybe definitely start doing it. As I, said, I think probably within the next month or so, we will be finding ourselves on Ultimus 7. And, while these Ultima 6 raids, as they have gone up in difficulty, it might not have been the most noticeable increase, but I promise you, Ultima 7 is just going to be, I mean, it's literally on a whole nother level. The other good thing about Ultima 7, when we start doing those raids, we will be getting a lot more purple gear, so that'll really start help you to build up your rosters more and just kind of spread the love a little bit. In those early stages, it's certainly you really kind of have to pick and choose what characters you're divesting the gear into, just because it's a little harder to come by. And you should eventually start seeing more of an abundance of purple gear. There still is always a shortage of gear. I mean, it's never this overly abundant stuff. Pretty much anything above, the blue level. Even still on my main account on Khaleesi, I still have to farm purple gear when I'm building up a new character sometimes. But Ultima 7 will definitely help those constraints just a little bit. It'll also give you a lot more of those raid credits. So you can start hopefully farming the raid characters a lot more easy, and you should actually even be seeing a larger influx of those materials now. And, eventually, once you have those characters kind of where you'd like them to be star-wise, you can start investing those raid credits into more gear, because the raid store is going to be how you're getting some of that orange gear, which is going to get you to gear tier 13, 14, and even 15 now. So, we just like to kind of keep that pool of resources going for everyone, and that's, I think, kind of the best way to do it. On top of that, we will also be getting T4 materials for our characters. So, currently the only way to get T4s is through one of the weekly challenges, if you get high enough up into the tiers. And the other way is going to be the Ultima 7 raids. So you will get T4s for completing boss nodes in Ultima 7, as well as an alliance, we'll all get T7 or T4 rewards rather for completing the raids in general. I think initially, we've been going really strong with where, we've in these Ultima 6 raids as we're going up in difficulty, we're still hitting 60%. Even when we go up in a difficulty tier. And, I don't want anyone to get discouraged when we start Ultima 7. It's probably, you know, when we start it, we'll be lucky to hit 30%, is kind of, I guess, what I'm getting at. Ultima 7 is going to be challenging. We're not going to be jumping into that raid and automatically hitting 60%. We will probably only start with being able to hit 30%, and then it'll be a slow progression up to 60%, and then hopefully up to 100%. The raid structures in Ultima 7 are a little bit easier, so the raid lanes are going to be they're very straightforward. They just kind of go up a straight line. And we'll talk about that more once we actually get to that point. But yeah, so I mean, I think that's kind of where we are. Myself, kind of going through 6.5 right now. Haven't noticed too much of a challenge so far. I imagine it's probably similar for a lot of you. If you were doing pretty well in the previous incarnations of the Ultima 6 raid. I'll be curious to see how my team does with a boss node. We did just lose Captain Marvel there, so I will sub her out on the next fight. And this team still is kind of a work in progress for me without having Symbiote Spider-Man unlocked. They're not at their full potential. So I've kind of had to sub out and, make some substitutions. Captain Marvel and both Emma Frost and even Minerva to some extent, really work pretty well with this team. Hoping, it's just kind of one of those luck-based things, but hopefully once we do start the Ultima 7 campaign, I will have Symbiote Spider-Man unlocked, but that's kind of more luck based, and I try not to plan things out around luck. So we'll see. I am still working on Captain Marvel and Emma Frost, kind of in the background, just to kind of keep that raid team, viable. And yeah, so we'll see. We'll do a boss node after this, and kind of just wrap up this 6.5 video. I know this video has been more kind of about planning for Ultima 7, but I think it's definitely something people should really start to consider at this point, as I think we are a lot closer than maybe a lot of people realize, and a raid team that might work for Ultima 6 isn't necessarily going to work for Ultima 7. Um, on my two other accounts, I was able to do the Ultima 6 raids with my Asgardians back in the day. And, when my old alliance started Ultima 7 and, I took in the Asgardians, they were able to do like a note or two, but I mean, after that, they just kind of wiped on out. So they weren't really a sustainable raid team. And, Asgardians are definitely probably one of the better teams in the game as far as synergy and whatnot. And especially at the time, they were definitely one of those like really solid teams. So that's kind of what I mean by Ultimus 7 really does take specialized teams. And since Scopely has kind of gifted us with the symbiotes, and I mean, their pure purpose is to raid, you might as well. So we're going to go in, I'm going to finish up this final boss node. That'll be my raid energy for the time being. So just kind of to touch on some, I guess, final thoughts, if you will. First and foremost, everyone should be incredibly proud of themselves, just for the massive amount of progress we've made in such a short amount of time. I mean, again, literally in 2 months, we have gone from Ultimus 4 to Ultimus 6.5. I would honestly say we are probably about a month away from Ultimus 7, which, at that point we are talking end game raid content. So, everyone, first and foremost, phenomenal job and work. Let's keep up the great work, the momentum, the progression, and keep the momentum going. Next, I think everyone should be really looking at a Ultimus 7 raid team. Feel free to look around on the internet, Reddit, YouTube, etc. You know, my methods aren't the only ones out there. But if you're kind of been following along with, I guess, what I've been saying, over the past 2 months or so. I definitely think the symbiotes are the easiest and most new player friendly to get to Ultimus 7. So if you have your symbiotes, maybe you haven't started working on them yet because you are just, focused on your normal raid team, I think now is the time to definitely start building that team up, as you're going to quickly see that that old raid team that might be doing great in Ultimus 6 isn't going to cut it in Ultimus 7. So as you're seeing here, my team is doing pretty well in this boss node. So we are, we did lose Captain Marvel on the last fight, but the symbiotes are still doing pretty well with Emma Frost over here, and I believe they should be able to finish the rest of this node no problem. So we'll finish up this fight, and with that being said, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns about anything, feel free to reach out to your alliance leadership. If you want to kind of theorize and theory craft some Ultimus 7 teams, certainly happy to kind of, I guess, look at your creations or what you theory crafted, and certainly happy to offer some words of wisdom. Like I said, Ultimus 7 is a massive difficulty increase from Ultimus 6, so just kind of be prepared for that. And if there's anything specific you'd ever like to see, always feel free to reach out to me on Discord at Khaleesi, and then you can reach me in game at either Minicall, Khaleesi, or Dracarys. So we are going to wrap up this fight, and hopefully, if you found this video helpful, you will like and subscribe. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys are having a good one, and get to planning on Ultimus 7, as I truly think we will be there probably in a month at the very longest, hopefully maybe a little bit sooner. So everyone, keep up the good work, keep up the progression. Good luck with the remainder of this Ultimus 6.5 raid, and hope everyone is having a good week, and hope you have a good weekend. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.